Ethan Lancaster stared through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his corner office, 40 stories above Manhattan's roar. Reflected in the glass was a man who seemingly had it all: a Tom Ford suit, carefully groomed silver-shot hair, and the power that came from building the Lancaster Group into a corporate giant. Yet lately, he felt an emptiness he couldn't name. The evening's charity gala, typically a showcase for his success, loomed, but offered him no comfort. His assistant's voice came over the intercom, snapping him from his reverie. "Sir, the guest list for tonight's gala just arrived. There's someone you should notice." Moments later, Ethan's gaze locked on a name on his tablet: Claire Miller, CEO, Phoenix Innovations. His breath caught. Claire, his ex-wife. He hadn't seen her in 3 years. Not since he'd ended their marriage to pursue a strategic alliance with Victoria Reynolds, daughter of a powerful investor. He remembered Claire's last words to him during their divorce: "You'll regret choosing power over love. One day, you'll understand what that costs." He laughed back then, convinced he was making a sound business move. Now, the memory unsettled him. That night, the ballroom of the Plaza Hotel glittered with New York's elite. Ethan drifted through the crowd, exchanging polished smiles and handshakes, half listening to small talk about his upcoming merger with the Reynolds family. Victoria, his fiancée, hadn't yet arrived, texting him endlessly with demands about publicity and seating arrangements. He spotted Claire across the room, deep in conversation with tech investors. She wore a midnight blue gown, her honey blonde hair swept up elegantly. Gone was the quiet, unassuming woman he'd once known. Now she radiated confidence and poise. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the crowd around them seemed to vanish. Ethan moved toward her, compelled by an impulse he didn't fully understand, but a small boy ran into his legs before he could reach her. "Sorry," the child squeaked, glancing up at him. Ethan froze. The boy had the same gray-green eyes that stared back at him in every mirror. Claire swept in, picking the child up in her arms. "Oliver, be careful," she said, her gaze never leaving Ethan's face. He couldn't speak, stunned by the child's resemblance to him. Oliver looked about 3 years old, which lined up painfully well with the timing of their divorce. "Claire," Ethan managed, throat dry. "Yes," she said coolly. "His name is Oliver." Before Ethan could say more, Victoria swept into the ballroom, a flash of red dress and diamonds. Calling his name, Claire seized the moment to walk away, Oliver clutching her neck. He gave Ethan a timid wave over Claire's shoulder. Ethan's heart lurched. "My son. I have a son." Victoria reached him, complaining about the press. But Ethan barely heard her. His mind spun with dates and memories. Claire's final weeks as his wife, her unwavering dignity when she refused a settlement. She was pregnant, and I never knew. Later that night, after leaving Victoria behind in the gala chaos, Ethan turned to his legal advisor, Richard, demanding records of any birth certificates or hospital documents linked to Claire. A short while later, Ethan sat in his penthouse, reading the proof on his laptop. Oliver James Miller, born roughly 9 months after their separation. Claire had listed no father. Ethan's chest tightened with guilt and an unfamiliar longing. He texted Claire, ignoring the dozen messages from Victoria. "We need to talk." No reply came. Restless, he barely slept, haunted by the memory of Oliver's wide eyes. The next morning, he tried calling Claire's office. No response. Hours passed in a blur of board meetings about the upcoming Reynolds merger, but Ethan couldn't focus. Finally, he learned from a contact that Claire would be at Phoenix Innovations late. He arrived at her office building as night fell. The security guard, seeing Lancaster Group, let him pass. On the top floor, he found a single light burning. There was Claire, still in her gown from the gala, posture rigid behind her desk. "Ethan," she greeted, voice edged with frost. "I expected you sooner." He swallowed. "Claire, why didn't you tell me?" She lifted her chin. "Would it have changed anything? You'd already chosen Victoria and your merger. You walked out on us, calling our marriage a mistake you had to correct." He remembered how she'd retreated into silence at the end of their marriage, how he'd assumed her passivity meant acceptance. But you had no right to keep Oliver from me. Her laugh was bitter. What right did you leave me with? You can't undo 3 years of absence just by showing up now. Their argument escalated until Claire's voice cracked. She described her pregnancy, laboring alone, raising Oliver while building Phoenix Innovations from scratch. You made it clear, she said, that love was secondary to power. I believed you, and now you see the result. He pleaded for a chance to know his son, to step up, but Claire was firm. I won't let you treat him like another corporate deal. If you try to bully your way in, I'll fight you. That's not a threat. It's a mother's promise. With that, she swept past him, leaving him alone in her darkened office, crumbling under the weight of all he'd lost. The next day, the media erupted with rumors. Ethan Lancaster's ex-wife had a child. Might hamper the Reynolds merger. Victoria confronted Ethan, insisting the child was some ploy, and urging a custody fight. Disgusted, Ethan ended things, telling her to leave his home. He spent the following days investigating Oliver's life, the preschool he attended, the apartment in which he and Claire lived. Yet he forced himself not to barge in. Instead, he emailed Claire an apology and asked for any path that would let him earn her trust, and Oliver's. A week later, she replied, instructing him to meet them at the Natural History Museum for Oliver's dinosaur exhibit visit. He loves dinosaurs. Claire wrote, you can come if you respect our boundaries. Ethan arrived early, heart-pounding. Claire appeared with Oliver in tow, the boy's eyes lighting up at the dinosaur skeletons. Nervous, Ethan knelt. Hi, Oliver. I'm your dad. May I join you? Oliver glanced at Claire, who gave a subtle nod. The boy approached him with cautious curiosity. By the end of their museum trip, Oliver was tugging Ethan's hand around the exhibits, chattering about T-Rex teeth and asteroid impacts. When paparazzi spotted them, the boy cowered. Claire soothed him with a trick. Cover your ears and hum if it's too loud. Ethan ushered them to safety. That night, Claire allowed Ethan to tuck Oliver into bed for the first time. The child clung to a plush dinosaur Ethan had bought him as a gift, falling asleep to the murmur of a bedtime story. Claire watched from the doorway, arms folded. I'm doing what I can, Ethan said softly. She nodded, her eyes troubled. Just don't hurt him. Victoria retaliated. She gave interviews claiming Ethan had kept a child's secret for years, mocking his and Claire's reunion. Rumors flared about corporate espionage. Claire's stock soared, while Lancaster Group wobbled as the Reynolds alliance collapsed. Both boards demanded statements, threatening Ethan's position. But Ethan refused to fight Claire. No custody battle, he told Richard. I won't turn Oliver into a bargaining chip. Ignoring corporate panic, he focused on Oliver, attending a preschool open house, reading dinosaur books, hearing the boys' bright laughter whenever Ethan tried to pronounce Parasaurolophus. Claire watched Ethan's efforts with guarded acceptance. She shared Oliver's schedule, soccer, swimming, mealtimes. One Sunday, Oliver invited Ethan to watch his soccer practice, standing beside Claire on the sidelines. Ethan marveled at their child's curiosity and gentle spirit. He's more interested in beetles than the ball, Claire quipped, half smiling. It's wonderful, Ethan murmured. No more illusions, he told himself. I choose him. The press meltdown peaked when Victoria claimed, on national TV, that Ethan and Claire had plotted to oust her father from business. In response, Claire coolly leaked documents proving Victoria's own unethical dealings. The Reynolds empire reeled. Their father-daughter duo retreated in disgrace. Meanwhile, Claire and Ethan publicly announced a new collaboration between Phoenix Innovations and Lancaster Group, focusing on sustainable energy. Investors buzzed about the synergy, overshadowing Victoria's scandal. That's enough drama for a lifetime, Ethan told Claire after yet another press conference. We can concentrate on Oliver now. She eyed him. If you mean that, then meet us at Oliver's next class event. They're hatching baby chicks, and he wants you there. He came, ignoring board phone calls, and saw Oliver glow at his arrival. As the eggs cracked and tiny chicks emerged, father and son shared wonder in the preschool swarm chaos. Claire caught Ethan's eye across the classroom, and for once, she smiled without reservation. Later that day, Oliver called him Daddy, unprompted. Ethan had to blink away tears. Each day, trust rebuilt, one child's grin at a time. Months later, Manhattan glistened under winter snow. With the Reynolds threat gone, a new future had opened for both corporations and for Ethan and Claire's family. Oliver's fascination with dinosaurs spilled into interest in fossils, climate science, and the environment. Laughing, Ethan teased that the boy might be a paleontologist by age 6. One December evening, after a business meeting in which their boards approved a major clean energy rollout, Ethan walked home with Claire and Oliver. They paused at a festive cafe for hot chocolate. Oliver babbled about next week's dinosaur event at the library, pleading for them both to attend. "Please come, Daddy. You too. Mommy. Then we can read about the T-Rex together." Claire gave Ethan a meaningful glance, and he reached out, gently touching her hand. "Yes," she said. "We'll both come." Oliver squealed, hugging them both. The gesture brought them close, so close that their faces were inches apart. For a moment, the city's bustle melted. Claire leaned in, meeting Ethan's eyes. There was no tension, only the lingering warmth of all they'd shared and all they could become. He breathed, "Claire, I never wanted to lose you. Or Oliver. I was a fool." She sighed, half smiling. "You can't undo the past, but maybe we can build something new." Oliver, oblivious, tugged at Ethan's sleeve, excitedly pointing at a sparkly dinosaur ornament in the cafe's window. Laughing, Ethan pulled out his phone to snap a photo. Claire slipped her arm through his, and for the first time in years, he felt truly complete. That night, as Oliver dozed in bed with a stuffed pterosaur clutched tight, Claire and Ethan lingered in the hallway. She turned to him, uncertain. He gently reached for her hand. "I won't push," he said, "but I'm here." She closed her eyes, exhaling. Some things have to go extinct so something better can evolve. He squeezed her hand. They both glanced at Oliver's open door, hearing his soft breathing. "I think we're ready to evolve," Ethan said, voice thick with emotion. Claire smiled, a gentle curve of her lips that promised hope. Side by side, they entered the room to watch over their sleeping son. Outside, snow kept falling, soft as forgiveness, blanketing the city in a fresh start. And in that quiet moment, a family took shape, proving that sometimes the greatest transformations come after you've let one world end and dared to begin another. What would you choose if forced between power and love? Ethan finally understood how hollow ambition can be when it means losing what truly matters. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to our channel for more tales of second chances, resilience, and the bonds that bring us together.